The colonel laughed at her excuse for failing the run until Hazel Watson removed her jacket. What they saw silenced the field. A scar that told a story no medal ever could. The parade ground smelled of dew and dust. Soldiers stretched, their boots crunching gravel in rhythm. Hazel Watson stood at the edge of the formation, her uniform perfect, her posture stiff. But her left hand trembled slightly. Pinned on her wrist was an old, cracked watch, its glass broken during a mission months ago. She still wore it not to tell time, but to remind herself that moments could shatter without warning. Colonel Briggs barked orders, his voice sharp as steel. He prowled between rows like a wolf. Hazel avoided his gaze, though she felt his eyes flick toward her. He had noticed her limp during warm-ups. When her name was called for push-ups, her chest tightened. She dropped to the ground, palms pressed into grit. The count began. 1, 2. Her arms shook by 15. By 20, pain surged like fire through her ribs. Her breath caught. She collapsed. Gravel scraped her cheek. Silence spread through the circle of soldiers. The colonel's boots stopped inches from her ear. Excuses already, Captain Watson? His tone was soaked in scorn. The army doesn't run on sympathy. Hazel pushed herself upright, jaw clenched. The broken watch ticked faintly, even though time inside it had long stopped. The colonel leaned closer. Pathetic. Hazel looked up, her throat dry. She wanted to speak, but words stuck. Around her, the younger recruits whispered. Doubt moved like smoke. She rose to her feet, spine straight. The colonel smirked. Run next, if you can manage. Her chest throbbed with each breath. Dust swirled as she walked to the track. The sun had climbed higher, bright and merciless. She touched the broken watch, as if the silence inside it carried strength. The whistle blew. Hazel started to run. Her steps echoed on the dusty road, each stride heavier than the last. By the first curve, the pain sharpened into a blade. She staggered. Soldiers' shadows stretched long beside her. Whispers rose again. The colonel's laughter cut through them. Hazel slowed, clutching her side. Her vision blurred. She thought of Kandahar, the blast, the burning, the silence afterward. Her foot caught on a stone. She nearly fell then caught herself. Sweat poured down her temple. Ahead, the colonel waited at the finish line, arms folded. Hazel's lips moved silently. Not yet. She stumbled forward, each step like dragging chains. Soldiers lined the track, staring, some with pity, others with judgment. Halfway through, her legs buckled. She dropped to one knee, gasping, dust filling her mouth. The colonel's voice boomed across the field. Soldiers, remember this sight. A captain who can't even finish a run. Hazel's vision tunneled. Her broken watch pressed against her skin, a cold reminder of a moment frozen in time. She clenched her fists, forced herself up, and the scar beneath her jacket burned like fire. The track stretched endlessly, a ribbon of dust under the Tennessee sun. Hazel's lungs clawed for air. Her boots dragged, each step threatening to fold her into the ground. The colonel's words still echoed. A captain who can't even finish a run. She pressed her hand against her chest, feeling the faint ridge of scar tissue hidden beneath her jacket. No one knew. Not the recruits. Not the colonel. Not even the officers who thought they understood sacrifice. Hazel staggered across the finish line long after the others. A handful of soldiers clapped out of pity. Most stayed silent. The colonel sneered and turned away as if she weren't worth his time. She bent over, spitting dust, her broken watch catching the light. It was stopped at 7:13, the exact minute her convoy had exploded in Kandahar. That night, Hazel sat alone in her barracks. The chatter of younger soldiers drifted through the thin walls. Laughter, jokes, relief at passing the test. She opened her locker. Inside, folded neatly, was a wallet. It was empty now. Once it had held a photograph of her squad faces young and proud. grinning in the desert heat. The photo had burned in the blast. All that remained was the smell of charred leather and dust. Hazel held the wallet and closed her eyes. She could still hear the explosion, still see the dust cloud swallowing daylight. She remembered dragging Private Sanchez out from under twisted metal, her chest tearing open as she pulled him free. The medics had begged her to lie down, but she refused until her men were safe. By the time she collapsed, her watch had already cracked against the wall, frozen forever. She tucked the empty wallet back inside her locker. She couldn't let them see her ghosts. Not yet. The next morning, the colonel called her out in front of the platoon. "Captain Watson, explain your pitiful performance yesterday." Hazel's throat tightened. She said nothing. "Cat got your tongue," he barked. Soldiers chuckled nervously. Hazel's jaw clenched. She touched her broken watch under the sleeve of her jacket. Time frozen, her secrets still sealed, but secrets had weight, and hers was crushing her. Colonel Briggs stepped closer, voice dropping to a blade's edge. "I don't want excuses. If you're weak, resign. We don't carry dead weight in my army." The silence after his words felt like a noose tightening. Hazel raised her eyes slowly, meeting his stare. The recruits shifted uncomfortably. Sergeant Alvarez, one of her younger men, looked at her with something between confusion and betrayal. Hazel opened her mouth, but no words came. Instead, her hand went to the first button of her jacket. The colonel frowned. Soldiers leaned forward. Attention sharper than gunfire filled the air. Hazel unfastened another button. Her fingers trembled not from fear, but from the storm she was about to unleash. And as the jacket began to fall open, whispers rippled through the crowd. The fabric slipped aside. Beneath the white undershirt, the scar stretched like lightning across her chest. Jagged, angry, raised. Gasps broke the silence. The recruits recoiled, eyes wide. Sergeant Alvarez's mouth fell open. Even the colonel froze. Hazel didn't move. She let them see. Let the scar scream louder than words. The dusty road outside Kandahar came rushing back in her mind. Her squad had been ambushed, pinned down by fire. Then the IED had detonated. She had felt herself lifted, thrown into a wall. The world had gone red and gray. Her broken watch had stopped at that second. Her wallet had burned. Her body had torn open, and yet she had kept fighting. Now, standing on this quiet Tennessee ground, she relived it all as their eyes devoured the truth she had hidden. The colonel's face drained of color. His lips parted, but no words came. His arrogance collapsed under the weight of that scar. Hazel traced the edge of it with one finger, steady as stone. "This," she said quietly, "is why I falter." The silence was deafening. Even the flags overhead seemed frozen. For months, she had endured whispers of weakness. Now the truth lay bare in the morning light. Some recruits looked away, ashamed of their doubts. Others stared, finally understanding. Colonel Briggs cleared his throat, but his voice came out cracked. You should have said," Hazel cut him off, her tone like steel. "I didn't fight to earn sympathy, Colonel. I fought to keep my men alive." Sergeant Alvarez stepped forward, eyes glassy. He saluted sharply. Then another soldier followed. One by one, hands rose. A forest of respect where there had been judgment. But Hazel's knees trembled. The effort of standing, the memory of fire and dust, it overwhelmed her. Her vision swam. The dusty road of Kandahar blurred with the gravel under her boots now. And as the colonel reached out, guilt on his face, Hazel collapsed into the arms of her soldiers. When Hazel woke, she was in the infirmary. White walls, the faint hum of machines, the smell of antiseptic. Her broken watch sat on the nightstand, glinting in sterile light. Time still frozen at 7:13. Major Reynolds, the base doctor, stood beside her. She had been there when Hazel was cleared for limited duty months ago. She knew Hazel's scars better than anyone. "You shouldn't have pushed that hard," Reynolds said softly. Hazel tried to sit up. Pain lanced her chest. She gritted her teeth. "They had to know," the doctor sighed. "And now they do." Outside, word had already spread. Soldiers whispered about Hazel Watson, the captain with the war scar. For some, she had become a symbol of sacrifice. For others, a reminder of how fragile flesh could be. That afternoon, the infirmary door opened. Colonel Briggs stepped in, hat under his arm. His face was pale, his jaw tight. Hazel met his gaze without flinching. The colonel looked at the scar beneath her gown, then at the broken watch. His lips pressed thin. For the first time, his voice lacked thunder. "I was wrong." Hazel said nothing. The silence pressed between them like a wall. "I judged without knowing," he continued. "I mocked what I couldn't see. That's not leadership." Hazel studied him. His shoulders sagged, the arrogance gone. "But apologies in the military were as rare as truce." "You humiliated me," she said, "and I will answer for it," he replied quietly. For a long moment, they just stared. Colonel Briggs, the man who broke soldiers with words. Hazel Watson, the woman who carried war beneath her skin. Then he saluted her. A crisp, deliberate salute. Hazel's breath caught. When he left, the empty wallet lay heavy in her locker across the hall. She thought of the men whose faces had once filled it. She thought of the dusty road in Kandahar. And she wondered, would her scar heal the unit or divide it? The question gnawed as night fell. 3 weeks later, the morning sun painted Fort Campbell gold. Hazel stood on the same training ground, her jacket fastened tight again, the scar hidden, but never gone.